2.
You took my money. You took my heart, my soul. Time to take it back my power. Time to take on back my power. Take on back my power. Back my power.
All right, my friends,
Oh, my
we
bad.
are back. It's Audioholics. We have a very special interview with Dominique Fils-Aimé. I hope I am not butchering your name. And Kevin Annocque. Did I get those right? Am I 2 for 2?
2 for 2.
Awesome. And of course, we got Done here. Get her done.
What's up, everybody?
Hi.
What an honor to have you guys here. We've recently discovered your music. Actually, Don discovered it. Don started playing your music to me. I'm like, who the heck is this?
Yeah, I texted him one night real late. I was like, dude, go to your room right now.
Yes.
I love it.
Let me tell you something, Dominique. I have to tell you, you have audiophile grade music that people want to listen to.
Yay. Thank you
And what
so
I mean
much.
by that, is anytime you do demos, you're always looking for something that sounds good, right? But it may not be music that you like. But with your music, I want to actually sit down and listen to the whole album because the music's good and it sounds great. It's great demo material. Don, how many times have you sold speakers to her demo material?
That's all I've been using lately, Dominique. Honest, not just because you're here, because it's great. Listen, it's music that most people love. You know what I mean? It's just beautiful. It's so clear. I can explain what they're going to hear. We can hear you breathe on it. You know, for whoever's doing your recordings is phenomenal, and you're a great talent. So yeah, hell yeah, been using your stuff constantly, and we'll continue to do so.
I'm super glad. Thank you so much for the introduction and all the love.
For sure. So Kevin, I wanted to talk to you about, basically Dominique has 3 produced albums. Am I right? Like there's 3 albums that are out right now.
That's right.
So the first one is Nameless. This kind of has more of a blues flavor to it, if you will, kind of a blues sound to it. Then there's Stay Tuned, which is more the jazz theme to the record. And then there's 3 Little Words, which is more soul. I mean, would you categorize that as, was your intent to have different style of music for each of these 3 records?
Absolutely. From the beginning, I had pictured a trilogy where I would really retrace the history of Black music and the emotions that history kind of infused in the creation of new genres. So we can see how the times where those musics were played matched the mood and the emotions people were going through. So since they're all music that raised me and that live within me, I really couldn't pick one to start off. So I wanted to tell that story and to really allow myself to explore each of these genres through one album each, because they needed time. They deserved to have the full time dedicated to each genre.
Well, that's one thing I want to ask you. So what is your background? What's your background musically? Who are your musical influences? I hear a lot of Sade in the music that you do.
I love her. I didn't even listen that much to her growing up, but I just knew that her voice felt like something that was close to mine. So I felt kind of vocally represented in a way, if that makes sense. There was everything that went from jazz, Billie Holiday, B.B. King, the blues era as well, the guitar, just B.B. King's guitar on its own as a human, you know, because it's practically a living person when you listen to certain songs, like Lucille, exactly. Yeah. So that fascinated me. And from there, it's like, from the moment that you listen to jazz, I feel like your ear is open to so many other things. Like every ramification fascinated me, from R&B to soul. I even listened to classical music, to rock, to metal, anything that has a passion or something that gets me in the guts, I will be drawn to it. And I think that resides within the artist rather than the style of music. So I think we can be attracted to more styles than we think if we just find the right artist to connect to.
Yeah.
So
And
the inspirations are very wide.
that's the kind of music that resonates with me. If you look at bands in history, in fact, I just did a video that's not up yet, and you're going to be mentioned in it. The 10 most influential albums, me growing up, and it's always bands that kind of push beyond their musical boundaries, that don't just do one category of music. You know, like Steely Dan, for example, is a band that they infused jazz with pop, and they came up with their own category called yacht rock. You know, I mean, it's like there's so many bands through history, and the most memorable music are the bands that can transcend just one category of music. Wouldn't you agree with that?
I agree, but I also feel like it's a freedom that we all deserve to take, because perhaps some people would want to go there but don't dare and feel stuck in a box. But it's what music is about. It's about exploring and taking who you are, and I don't think anyone is one single thing. So it's the same for the music they make. I feel like they should be free to combine everything they are and all their influences to really give us something that is authentic, which will therefore be mix of genres.
I got you. So what's your background? Do you have, I would imagine you have some kind of vocal training to have a voice like that.
Well, I guess my training was me recording over and over on my computer and being very stubborn. I don't have an academic background, but I do feel like my life gave me a different type of training, because when you think of music, there is definitely the kind of the academic, the notes and the maths behind it, but there's also the emotion that you put within and the intention that you put in those frequencies that you emit. I often talk about how music is frequencies that literally go through us and vibrate through us the same way colors vibrate, the same way thoughts vibrate. So I really worked a lot on that, on finding a way to connect my voice to my emotion and to my gut so that I can make a sound that is filled with whatever I'm feeling. And I think that this is what sometimes perhaps people connect with more than if they think I have a nice voice. It's not that it's necessarily nice, but it's honest and it's full of raw emotion. And I think that's why everyone can sing if they just go to that place, you know?
God, I mean, like when I listen to the song Freedom from Stay Tuned, and that part where you just go, you know, freedom to, you know, live your life. So much passion in that. The first time I heard that, I got tingles, I got goosebumps. Dawn, right? I mean, hearing her singing that on a really good system.
Oh, hell yeah.
There's just so much authenticity that comes through your music. I love the fact that you're kind of new. I mean, you haven't been doing this for 20 or 30 years, right? This is kind of...
Well, she's only 20. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, you're only 20, right?
Forever 20, for sure. No,
Yes.
I'm definitely, this is a new path in my life that I took a few years ago. And I've been very lucky to find the right people like Kevin to support me in my crazy projects and to just be there to support and really encourage me to do whatever I feel like doing as an artist. But it's definitely new, and I kind of feel like it's an advantage sometimes because I don't have all the built up pressure from times of studying and years of expectations. It's just a new adventure that I started and that so far has been going extremely well.
Well, see me, I developed my talent singing in the shower. And,
There you go.
know,
You don't want that.
just, you know,
That's where it starts. That's where it starts for
Self-taught.
everybody.
Yeah. So Kevin, give me some pointers into why these recordings sound so good. Did you guys set out to make audiophile recordings, or was it just like a side effect of what you were doing in the studio and it just turned out great? What's going on with that?
I think we got really lucky, honestly. You know, I started co-founded the record label, and you know, I knew Dominique, and I saw her first show that she put together. She self-produced her first EP, The Red, and that was in 2015. And I went to her, you know, at the release show, and I was blown away. I had goosebumps. You know, if you have goosebumps listening to the records, wait till you see her live in a show. It's really something. And you know, as I had no background in the music industry, honestly, apart from, you know, I was classically trained on the piano. My dad was a guitar player, classically trained as well. But, you know, on the music industry side and on the tech side, I had no background at all, apart from, you know, reading as many books as I could. You know, there's only so much theory you can digest. But we stumbled upon great people. I mean, the owners of Studio Opus, They opened their doors to us. They were extremely nice and friendly to us. And it was really a chemistry thing. You know, it was them saying, hey, well, you know, are you looking at record producers? We know this guy, Jacques, we should, you know, set up a meeting eventually. And we did. And the vibe, it was more about the chemistry, the connection, the human connection that we have with these people than the actual, you know, audiophile aspect of the recordings that we were looking at. And, you know, our gut feeling was telling us that these are the people we should work with. And this is the studio we want to be in. And this studio inhabits something very magical that's, you know, it's out of town. It's by a river. It's got some aura. And you can feel that there's some presence there that you want to work with. And slowly but surely, you know, we did want to do quality recordings. So we didn't have much money at the time, but we were willing to invest as much as we could in the production. And you know, we wanted to for a first record, for it to stand out. Really, you know, it's a sea of music. There's 60,000 new songs coming out every day. They're all uploaded on Spotify. So how do you actually stand out in the noise, cut through the noise? And I mean, we just got really lucky, I think. And
so what really drew me to your music, Dominique, is when Don played Birds from Nameless. That song, man, just, you know, the stand-up it's a simple song. There's not a lot going on. It's a stand-up bass. There's some side, you know, rim shots in the background or whatever. But just hearing your voice, hearing the purity of that track, the way you guys recorded the stand-up bass in that, you can hear all the resonance of the strings. I mean, it's just so incredibly vivid. And the great side effect of how well you recorded these albums is when you throw it through a Dolby Upmixer, the DSU, the Dolby Surround Upmixer, or Oro 3D, either of those upmixers are similarly good. It sounds like discrete surround sound. I mean, Don, don't you? Yeah, it sounds. You even asked me. He was over the other night. We were playing some of your music. He goes, "This is an Atmos, right?" I'm like, "No, actually, it's upmixed, but it sounds that good." You hear when you're doing all the layering of the vocals, which I want to talk to you about that in a minute. How many layers of vocals are in your tracks? It must be a lot, right? You hear it on the side channels. You hear it filling in the side channels when you put it through the Dolby Upmixer. And then if you have really good speakers that image well, your vocals are dead center. So it sounds like you're singing right in front of me. And then all the different things you do in your songs, because you have these unique instruments that I want to talk to you about a little bit. You hear that above and around you. It creates an immersive bubble, and it's only 2-channel upmix. It's not even discrete. Imagine if you guys had your music recorded in Dolby Atmos, how even to the next level it would be, just because of the way you record and the kind of music you make.
Yeah, Kevin, you said something I'd go back to just a minute ago about music that stands out. So when I'm doing my work every day at my desk, I have a reference audio system, and I listen to, you know, Qobuz or Tidal or Amazon HD, and I always do the new artist, you know, and I'll listen for a little bit, and listen to a little bit, and listen. I remember listening, then you know, Dominique came out. I was like, oh, hold on. You know what I mean? And I let the whole song play. Then I went to her page, started exploring, started listening, got on with him. I'm like, dude, you know, like that. It stood out. It truly did. And, you know, that's one of the reasons we pursued bringing you on here to talk to you guys, because I think you represent what's good in music now from top to bottom.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Well, I guess Dominique, we did something right.
Yeah, definitely. But see, that part is all his fault, because when he took me to that studio, I just thought to myself, oh, this is so nice. It's by the river. So to me, it was just, you know, it was the atmosphere.
You just like the nature aspect.
Around the wall.
There's a garden, like, so I didn't even realize everything that it implied to be in an audiophile studio, an HD studio. And it's only after the fact that I realized, oh, we actually get to feel and hear more frequencies through this. And this is why he was so animate about spending more, but for the good reasons, not just for the river.
Yeah. Well, you know what's interesting is I go back and forth, because I listen to your music on Apple Music, or I listen on Tidal. Either way is fine. I think they both sound really good. And I go back and forth between Nameless and Stay Tuned, those two albums. And I noticed, and I talked to you about this earlier, that there was a different, your voice sounds like it was recorded differently between the two albums. I hear more proximity effect in your voice and Stay Tuned. And you definitely did a different miking technique. Did you want to talk about the differences in how you recorded your voice in Nameless versus Stay Tuned?
Yeah, I find it so fascinating that you actually picked up on that because technically they're at the same level, right? But the first album, since I was discovering a new studio and I was kind of just trying to respect whatever I was told in the way this is how you record, so you should be this far from the mic. So I would be the distance that he told me to be. And then by the second album, I had acquired more knowledge of my voice and how I like to sound or what makes me feel good when I record. And that's when I told them, I wish you could record me closer to the mic without it popping and everything else. Because this is where I feel the closest to the people, where I feel like I can really take all the different levels out from really small, airy to louder, where I'll choose to move back. And that's why he kind of rearranged the levels in a way that allows me to sing as close to the mic as I need, really, which is not what was happening in the first album. So it's a very subtle difference, but I do feel
Yeah.
like it brings it brings me closer to people. And especially when you have a good sound system to listen to it and realize the difference and the proximity difference, it's a different vibe completely.
Right.
Yeah, you
So
gotta
Kevin,
come
I
to
wanted to
Florida
talk
and
to you. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Don.
you're gonna come to Florida and hear his system. It's pretty.
I
you
love
do.
it.
It's
We
pretty
talked about
amazing.
that, having you come here, and yeah, you got to come and maybe do a concert here. You know,
Yes, I'll
there's
come
an
in
audio
winter.
show. Yeah, come in the winter because you guys are in Canada. You're based out of Quebec, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
come on. You know, buy the ticket.
Woohoo.
So one thing I wanted to ask you, Kevin, is there's between those two albums. Again, I'm focused on those two albums because those are the albums I listen to the most. I'm not trying to diminish your third album, of course. The first album, Nameless, was more like acoustic bass, right? And then the second album, Stay Tuned, you guys put some electronics in that. Why don't you talk a little about? There was an instrument in there that I'd never heard before. It sounded like this wooden instrument or something. It almost, I thought it was a
Didgeridoo.
lawnmower at first. It was in the song Where There Is Smoke.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
it.
It
that
reminded me of
didgeridoo?
like old Peter Gabriel records, you know, like if you ever listened to Peter Gabriel back in the day when he did Security and all, he always had these kind of African instruments in the background. And when I heard Dominique's song there, it was giving me vibes of that, but it was so surreal just hearing the bass because it was recorded so well. What is that instrument?
Okay, so that's it's a didgeridoo. It's an Australian instrument that the Aborigines, they play during ceremonies. And from reading about it, I basically grew up in Australia. I was 3 years old when I picked up that instrument, first instrument I ever tried, and basically it's probably the oldest wind instrument because it's a natural instrument. It's made from termites. Termites dig a hollow body inside the wood of a tree, and the Aborigines would cut it off, and there would be basically an instrument they would paint. And I actually have one right here that I'll show you.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And
So-
it's a mono pitch. It's a one pitch instrument. I think this is in D, but basically, you got the nice painting on there.
Oh, wow.
And and this I've had this one for like 20 years or so, and and it's a drone sound. It's got this really bassy, unique sound that's not processed in any way with electronics, or you can't really reproduce it with a computer. So it's definitely a special instrument, and it's almost like meditating when you play it. It really gets you in those. I don't know how to explain, but it does strike a chord, and sometimes when people hear the instrument, they're going to be really, they're going to close their eyes, and there's something going on that's almost as Don would say, spiritual.
It is, man. I used to have one. I bought one years ago, man, and about passed out learning how to play it, trying to play it. It's like Australian bagpipes, man. But it's a cool. It adds a really cool element and underlayer to a lot of different stuff. I love when artists bring didgeridoos into it, man. That's super cool. Bust it out, man. Come on.
Can you make
Here's
a sound on it now? I don't want to put you on the spot, but I kind of want everyone to hear this in case they haven't heard the song.
Kevin solo.
Let's go.
Well, I don't know how it's gonna sound with the acoustic in this room and the mic on the
Come on.
mic.
All right.
Let me see. Let me see what I can do. Can you
I
hear
feel like
that?
we're watching. I feel like we're watching The Lion King. It's awesome.
Simba. No,
Okay.
wrong continent, man.
Great.
Wrong continent. That's super cool, man.
I'll play in the studio once.
Don-
He actually played that in once per album. So there's in each album there's one track where it's somewhere hidden. So it can be
That's
a
right.
fun game
Right.
to play to
Yeah.
find it.
Kevin Didgeridoo Easter egg we got to find.
That is awesome. Yeah. So one thing I wanted to ask you, Dominique, not music is just the art of your album covers here. Like when I listen to this album at night and it has it on my 150-inch screen and the whole room is lit red from it, right? It almost looks like your head is on some type of a pedestal. Like my eyes just, when I'm listening to the music, I just defocus the fact that that's your shoulder. Like who did that makeup or what's that all about? That looks so amazing.
It's actually Siu, who's our graphic designer for the label. And she's the one that made every art that you see on the covers, but it's digital. So it was based on a normal picture. And then she actually painted through computers or other ways, sometimes like physically for the Nameless, for example. She actually went ahead and created different images.
Awesome.
She's amazing.
Yeah. And you have a couple of music videos too. I think when I was on Apple Music, I saw you and they're very well produced. Like they're really like in high def. Don, did you see those?
Yeah, I saw them on Tidal. I watched them all. Okay.
Ah, nice.
I watched them all.
I don't know about the quality of the sound production if it's up to par, but we did do a VR. Actually, the Love Takeover video. Initially, it's a VR experience in 360, and there's some sound staging too. That goes with this 360 immersive production. And the Freedom actually song has got its own VR video. It's only available on VR. And you have multiple Dominiques all around you,
Really?
singing, and the back vocals, the harmonies come on one side, and you got Dominique singing in front of you, and you can look up and you hear Dominique's again, and there's multiple Dominiques. It's
a good thing.
It's a trip.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Think of worse things.
So what's next on your plate? Are you guys thinking about a new album coming out? Are you working on any new material? And are you going to plan on coming sometime to the United States and do some concerts?
All of the above. Now, basically, it's been a very intense year with everyone trying to catch up from the pandemic. So we got to start doing shows again, finally touring. I was able to go to Europe. It was postponed from 2020. So that all came at the same time. Everyone started the machines, even though it's still a bit on slow motion on certain aspects. It's a lot of movement at once happening. I'm very lucky that I get to collaborate with many different artists and projects from, I was saying earlier, like I'm working on the music for a theater play, for a movie as well. And I feel like this is where I'm going to find my inspiration and also take a moment to figure out what project I want to do next. What would be the next album, in what kind of format, what message I want to bring out, what kind of sound experience I want to create for the listener and for the people in the room whenever we have shows live. So it's all kind of meditative state and collaborative phase to figure out who am I today after this trilogy? What do I want? What do I want to share and how? Maybe a
Awesome.
rock album.
Yes.
Yeah, do it. One of my favorite all-time artists is Prince, and one of the things I always loved about Prince is as he just transcended all these different genres. I think it's funny is everybody knows him, Purple Rain and his old stuff in the 80s. But somebody said, asked Eric Clapton one time, they're like, "What's it like to be the best guitar player in the world?" And he goes, "I don't know, ask Prince." And I always stuck out in my brain how cool that was,
That is cool.
Yeah, being an artist, man, and having that ability to just go in different directions and really, I think that's super cool. I mean, what's cooler than that, really?
It's the best. It's really freeing when you acknowledge the fact that there is no limit. There is no reason to stick to one style. Even if people don't like everything you do, as long as you feel like you're sharing something true and how you're feeling, I mean, that's all that matters. There'll be more albums for others to connect with. And I feel like it's very freeing. Yeah, I'm definitely feeling like I can do what I want and I can go wherever I want, and it's gonna probably always come back in some kind of way towards jazz, but it can
Yes.
also be jazz and combining
Hell yeah.
different styles. And yeah, because it's the to me it's the best. I
Where
have to
would you
admit
say
it.
your biggest fan base is? Like, is it Canadians? Is it the States? Is it big? You big in Europe? I mean, what or just wherever?
Well, based on this live, I would say Florida.
Yeah.
Kidding.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, Montreal for sure. It's it's home. But it's been surprising arriving in Oslo last month, having a full room sold out with people who wanted tickets but couldn't get it was super surprising to us because I've never been to Oslo. I've never performed in Europe. It was my first time really touring and performing. So it's the magic of internet. It's fascinating to realize I have people who actually listen to our albums in places that I could not even pronounce sometimes. So who knows, really?
It's
Kevin would know.
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing we found out about when she was doing shows in Norway and Sweden, was it last month?
Hmm.
Was that last only a month? Wow, time.
Yeah.
Strange how time flies with this COVID thing.
It does. Yeah.
But we realized that so the funny part is we had, some more difficulty selling some shows in France, which she had already been. And we had, we had the whole shebang of publicity and promo and the publicist, and the tracking and everything going. Whereas in Norway and Sweden, we didn't have any of that, basically, apart from some online promo stunts. And, all the venues were sold out. And we realized that the community that was driving that, well, first of all, the venues are very well organized and they do really good promo on their own. But second, the audiophile community there is really strong. And they have groups there that, are sharing Dominique's music and say, hey, she's coming in the country. We should check her show out. And I think it really led to great shows, being full seaters.
Yeah, if
That's
you have
great.
a bunch of balding old dudes with cargo shorts, it's probably the audiophile. Those guys love you. No, they're big. There are tons of audiophiles in Scandinavia in general. They really love music. A lot of interesting music coming out of those nations. So it's very cool.
So Dominique, I wanted to not forget about your incredible band that you have. I mean, the music, the progressions in your songs. You got a good drummer. You got a good guitarist. You got the real deal. Tell me a little bit about your band. Give them a shout out. Let's give them some love. How did you hook up with them? And yeah, just give me a rundown of what's going on with there.
So much love to give to that band. I actually have I've had different drummers and certain musicians change, but since the beginning, the guitarist and the bassist Danny and Etienne, hello, they've always been there since the beginning, and they've always been very supportive in me allowing myself to create freely because they're all trained, right? So when you arrive without any training, you might feel a little bit shy and a little like, am I legit, and they were there to really encourage me and support me, and like, create, feel what you feel, do what you got to do, we're here with you. And that's when I started really composing even their lines, and they would just make them so much better. Everything that I would hear in my head and sing, then I would hear on a guitar. I was like, now you're talking. They would put the soul in it and the emotion really into it. And then for the drummer, I had Laurent for the first album, who was a friend of mine. And then I really wanted a female heartbeat for the second one, Stay Tuned. So that's when I met Slyn, who's a wonderful Thai drummer who is now living in Montreal. She is the sweetest person. I mean, they're all as sweet as they're talented, and they're really sweet. So, that says a lot about their talent. And she really gave it that energy that I needed, but at the same time, there's a sensibility, she's very sensitive, and there's subtleties that she brings that I hadn't heard before in drum playing. So that felt amazing. And then for the third one, I had Harvey at the drums, who's also the replacement for Slyn. And he's great at everything to punch. He's a very strong, powerful, even a rhythmic person as he speaks, his energy. So we wanted something high energy for the third album. And I feel like his playing and his personality really shone through as he was playing the drums. Then we have Hichem Kalfa at the trumpet, who also brings sounds that just make me want to cry or make me want to hug him. Like, he's so full of love, and the way he plays with so much passion, he will really, every solo he blows, you're just, okay, that's the one. Like, hold on, let me do it. And then, oh, okay, that's the one. Like, they're all, better than the next. So it was an excellent person to have. Then there was Elia the percussions.
Yeah, I love your percussions. Love them.
Me too.
He's amazing. And that's the thing. They're all great musicians, but then you have Jacques, who's the producer, who made sure that all of this came together in a way, and he understood the vision that I had, and he made it happen in a way that is even better than I could imagine, because for so many layers to be present, not only for the vocals, but for the drums and the percussions, it's overlayer of things that sometimes even the drummer who played it, he came to a show, he's like, I don't think I can play that. Like, the way he layered things, it just, I don't even know, but it sounds perfect. So I think it's really a team effort that made all of these great energies that each of these people were bringing make a whole that is cohesive and that makes sense, because it was all for the best of the music, and there was no ego involved nowhere, ever. No one fighting ever. It's been 3 years now. So big shout out and lots of gratitude for this whole gang that's been there since the beginning and making all this possible.
Awesome. That's great. So speaking about layering, I wanted to talk to you about your vocal layering, because there's a lot of that, especially on the Stay Tuned album. And there's elements of it that remind me of, like, I'm listening to Beyonce back in the day when she would do that with her recordings. How many tracks are just dedicated to the layering of your voice? And is it all your voice, or do you have backup singers on those albums?
It's all my voice, because that's how I compose. I compose by layering my vocals. I love harmonies, and then layering different sounds or different hummings to create the melody that then the musicians will take on. Vocal wise, I remember a track being insane, but I can't remember the number, but I know Kevin must, because it was a challenge for the producer every time. Do you recall?
Which track? Freedom?
Well, Freedom was
Many
one
of
of
them.
those. Yeah, I mean, Freedom was one of them, but there's multiple tracks where actually back then we're still in Logic Pro 9, and we actually busted the number of tracks we could have on Logic Pro, and I think it was 350 tracks. And basically in terms of vocals, I mean, there's so many songs that are 80 vocal tracks and above.
Wow.
So the kind of surgical precision that Jacques operates as an engineer, obviously the staging of the sound. In terms of EQing, in terms of panning, and obviously, dB, it's
Masterful.
yeah, it is. It really is. And the guy, and so I like to say that, Dominique is the one behind the vision, for the songs, for the albums, for the trilogy, but Jack is the one who has the vision behind the sonic signature of the sound. And that's why, I really want him to get into the Atmos and the immersive.
You have all the tracks already. This could be easily layered into an object-oriented mix, right, Don?
Oh, it would be amazing. I mean, so one of the beautiful things about listening to your music, besides obviously you, the layering is so clear and separated. And when you play it back on a high resolution system, which is the world we live in, it's really it's putting jet fuel into the sports car. I mean, is what it is, and there's so few artists that really have that magical recording capability, that synergy between artist and producer, and I can't wait to hear that on a Atmos multi-dimensional, I just can't wait to hear that. That would be, you got to do that, man. You got tomorrow, start. Come on.
I'm going to make the call. I'm going to make the call to David Frangione, and hopefully you guys can work something out, because we had him on a few days ago or last week, and he didn't know about your music, but I'm sure he's listening now.
Oh yeah.
So I want to go over some of the comments in the chat over here. Here's just a couple I just want to throw up here. Nameless is an amazing album. Sound fantastic on my system. Yep, there you go.
Hey, thank you.
So, guys, you can get all three of Dominique's albums on whatever streaming service. I believe, I know that you're on Apple Music. I know that you're on Tidal.
Qobuz.
Don, are they on Qobuz?
She's on Amazon HD. She's on Qobuz, and she's on Tidal. Those are the main three that I listen to, and obviously Spotify. But I mean, and on Apple. So I mean, those are the big ones, really.
Yeah.
I think that the quality from Qobuz and Amazon HD are probably sublime. They're really, really high quality. The Amazon HD is, not the standard Amazon. And of course, Tidal, kind of the one that started this whole thing. You sound great on that too.
There's another one, Dominique. You're awesome. You forgot the
Thank
apostrophe in
you.
your. I'm a grammar police there.
Come on now, really?
Hey, I'm in the editorial world. I look at that stuff. I'm stealing your music, Dom. There you go.
Thank you, Mean Green.
Yeah, this is good stuff. Here, I just found another one. I just found out about your music because of the interview. Thanks for being here, hosting Gina
Hey.
Dunn. Awesome.
You got new fans already tonight. People.
Yeah,
listening
and
while
thanks
they're
for hosting Gene and Don. I
Oh,
agree.
it's our honor. Trust me, it's
Oh,
our
trust
honor. I think I put this one up before. I like that one. Soul.
I
Plus
didn't
Heart
even drink
Plus.
tonight. I stayed sober
Wow.
for this.
I told him he needs to be sober. He needs to be sober for tonight.
I think Kevin up there drinking something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's it looks like vodka. It's actually water.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
great.
yeah, that's what they say.
I know how y'all Canadians are.
It's cold here.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
you gotta
bet.
warm
You
up
guys,
one way or another.
Kevin, didn't you just get your first snowstorm tonight? Or
Yeah, we got a little snow today. First time I think in Montreal, right, this year.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, we'll be flying off to
Hopefully,
Florida.
Yeah, that's it.
Come
Hopefully
over
we'll
to
be out.
Gene's.
Come on.
you're welcome for sure. There's an audio show in February that's going to be in Tampa. Maybe we could arrange something with them, and you can do a live
That would
performance
be
there.
that would be really good for you because you get a lot of exposure there. They would eat you up there. That would be great.
Yes, and a lot of exposure to the sun. I will take it.
We have a lagoon where I live, so even if you can't go and do a live
Wow.
performance,
Yeah,
you can use the lagoon.
They have a
and you can
man.
hear
What is
your-
it, like
Damn.
20 acres or something, Gene? Or 10 acres. It's this
Well,
gigantic.
the lagoon
man-made
itself is
lagoon.
7.5 acres long.
7.5,
Yeah, it's
okay.
pretty nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Wow.
crazy. Yeah.
That is
Cold
crazy.
though. The water's going to be cold, but you're used to the cold. I can't
Oh,
go in that cold water.
What you
do.
call, I'm sure your cold is like super warm for us. I'll be like, oh, what a hot bath.
Yeah,
I can't go
It's
in water
50
below
degrees
80
here. They
degrees
break out
anymore.
parkas. They go to REI, Patagonia, and got their it's 50 out. So
Yep, that's true. Well, awesome. Dominique, the last thing I wanted to ask you were talking about the trilogy of the 3 albums. Did you actually plan all 3 of these albums before you produced them, or was it like a natural progression? Did you have a whole mindset of what you were doing from start to finish?
I did. I was very lucky. Basically, when the adventure all started, Kevin, after that time he came to see me in show, he asked me, like, do you want to work with me? I would like to build a label, etc. And then he said, you have 6 months to think of whatever project you want to create. So it can be a series of singles, it can be an EP, it can be an album. And then as I started thinking about the kind of music that I really connected with, I was like, who am I musically? I don't even know. Like, what do I want to say? What do I want to share? I realized there were too many styles, and those 3 genres specifically that I wanted to explore. And I could see a very clear link with colors, like the 3 primary colors, the 3 elements, the 4th one being us as humans, dust, but from the nameless, the blues, which is for me water, which is nighttime. Then I saw jazz as the revolution, the lava that burns and just leaves a more fertile ground behind. Passion, women, fire, civic era. And then I saw how soul was kind of one of the ramifications of jazz, that as soon as a few liberties and freedoms were acquired, you had this light that came through the music from soul to R&B, just an explosion of styles that were all so sunny to me. So that to me was like the wind of change, the sun at zenith, the yellow of, heat and happiness. So I decided to follow through this narrative to create the 3 albums. And I still can't believe it's already done, because it felt like a challenge that would never end. And just, for Kevin to say, yes, let's do this, I was like, oh my God, are you serious? He was thinking, oh, maybe an album, maybe a single. I was like, no, you'll be stuck with me for 3 albums, and it's going to last many years, and I'm going to be in the studio all the time. And now I'm just happy that it's actually accomplished, and that it was a good experience from beginning to end.
So I got to ask you one favor. One of my favorite line in probably all your songs is the line where you said, "You don't treat me like the queen. You keep telling me you see." Can you belt that out for us real quick on here live?
Oh,
Can
my
I
poor
put you on the
neighbor.
spot?
You are putting me on the spot. I don't even remember what comes with it. You don't treat me like the queen. You keep telling me you see. Because I don't listen to it. I actually sing it in shows, and I've changed it.
Oh,
So
yeah, it
I
is
don't even
different.
recall what it sounds like
Oh,
in the
man.
recording. I haven't listened to my albums in years.
Wow. Wow.
It's pretty.
Well, look, they're really
Sorry.
good. I'll just tell you, they're really good. So you
You
take my
should
word
become
for
a
it.
fan of yourself.
You should.
It's true, but
So
so many
next-
people to love.
next month when you do your Atmos, when you bring it out next month, can you world premiere it here with us? And one day when you're like a gigantic recording star, don't forget the little people. I'm just saying.
Backstage passes.
Oh.
Come on.
You will get all the passes.
All right,
Awesome.
right on.
Awesome.
Yeah, well, we'll definitely keep you guys up to date with upcoming shows in the U.S. Tour dates, and obviously anything that's going to come out. I'm going to say yes, Atmos for sure. We want to work on that. So we'll make sure to give you guys a sneak peek.
Look,
ahead
I'm
of
gonna sell you on Florida because there's some great venues here. We have Ruth Eckerd Hall. We've got Capitol Theater in Clearwater. I'm going to see Pat Metheny in February at Capitol Theater, which only seats like 1,000 people. So it's going to be like I'm literally going to be 15, 20 feet away from the guy, and he's like,
And you'll be the youngest guy there.
No, he's crazy.
There's a legend. We love Pat Metheny.
Oh, how could
that's
you
awesome,
not,
dude?
Best jazz guitarist that's currently alive, in my
Fire.
opinion. But
Yep.
yeah. Look, last couple of comments I want to show you. Here's a nice one. Yo, Dominique, inner city, born and raised, and music hits my soul.
Oh.
That's awesome.
That's exactly what we wish for.
We got another new fan. Look at that.
Yeah.
See that?
Yay.
Watch
Hello,
the
Nathan.
watch the downloads on the music streamers after this broadcast. And see if it
We're
goes
going to
up.
talk about you a lot. I mean, your music needs to get out there. I mean, you're an amazing artist, and we're not just saying that. Literally, we were like little kids when we discovered your music. I'm telling you, I'm texting him. He's like, oh my God. I mean, he hits me back, late at night. I mean, it was like finding a treasure, for us to have. It really was. I mean,
I remember when I was listening to Stay Tuned, I thought to myself, I'm like, I wish I could rediscover this album for the first time again, because I had goosebumps the whole time. Now it's like I'm used to it. I've heard it more times than I want to admit to you, but it's a great experience for someone with a good playback
borderline
system.
creepy, but no, we borderline, but not in a creepy way. So we keep talking about, like if you would like do, duets or work with other artists, how you would fit with some of the other artists out there. You know what I mean? With your voice and your style would be super cool. I'd like to see you do some like hip hop stuff and bring that to it. And of course the reggae dub that I love so much. I would love to.
She's already working on a track with Justin Bieber, right?
Really?
No,
Who told you?
My daughter would have been thrilled 4 years ago.
Well, he's Canadian. I figured that would be a possibility.
Yeah, all Canadians. We all know each other.
Yeah,
It's very small.
Yeah, it's just us and polar bears, So there's a few musicians out there. We all know them.
I'm curious. Are you a fan of the band that I'm wearing right now, since they're Canadian?
Oh, me? I don't see what we're.
Oh, it's Rush, of course.
Rush. Wow.
Well, yeah, one of the greatest bands in general.
Yep.
I mean,
A lot of good music.
especially the drummer.
Yeah, God, that was such a tragic loss. Neil Peart.
Yep.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Amen.
Well, I'm sure thrilled you guys came on. I mean, it means a lot to us because we do sincerely. We're big fans, and we tell everybody. I've turned you on a bunch of people already. I know Gene has as well. I'm sure that because this live stream it'll be up for a while and get more and more traction. And Gene reaches about 2 million people a month. I mean, he reaches a lot of people.
Wow.
So yeah, it'll get traction and people that will download and listen to your music. And I wish you all the success. I know you're going to be gigantic. I know you are. It's a matter.
Thank
It's a
you.
matter of time.
I'm already very happy, so that's the main goal.
That's
Good.
that's
There
a
you
great
go.
answer. Yeah, just
There
be
you go.
happy. Love what you do,
I do.
Yeah.
and it's obvious that you do when you
So
hear
is
the
that
music.
show that production the theater production you're doing it for, is that going to be like a Broadway, type production? That's going
Oh, I would love that. No, it's not at all. At contrary, it's actually a one-woman show that is I'm making kind of experimental music. So it's very far from my comfort zone, and that's why I love it, because I love trying something I've never done. I love challenging myself, and then wondering, why did I go there? I cannot do this, but then eventually finding a way to do it. So the whole up and downs that we go through when we challenge ourselves. But it's very far from my usual bag. Yeah.
See, I'm torn to admit that I listen to a lot of theater tracks because I got kind of a reputation, but I do listen to, like, I think I've wore out the Hamilton soundtrack, it's really,
Nice.
but it's
I
got to
think
be
you're not alone.
with that.
I think you're not alone.
Yeah,
No,
my daughter
I
sings
agree.
that from front to back.
It's got to be
verbatim.
interesting making music for a show versus an album, with the time frames and the that's involved in it. It's got to be really challenging.
It is, but it's a fun challenge because you feel like the focus is decentralized. You really, it's not about the music, it's about the atmosphere and the person on stage, and creating something to go around her and to really dress up the visual and the mood, the ambiance in the room. So that to me feels like a nice way to contribute to someone else's project and do your best to actually help her create something closer to her vision, or a bit richer, because you're adding on something and making it giving it a new level and a new dimension through sound.
Right on. That's awesome.
Last comment here. There's another one for you. Another new fan.
Oh, hello in French.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
awesome.
That's cool.
Super.
Yeah, there'll be many more of them.
For sure. Well, Dominique, Kevin, thanks for coming on our channel tonight. Guys, check out Dominique Fils-Aimé. I hope I'm saying it right. Check out her albums on whatever streaming platform you use. Make sure you have a good audio system when you listen to her music. Don't just listen to it on your phone or in a crappy car system.
Oh, no.
Get a good pair of headphones. Get a good pair of speakers like you see behind here. Really absorb this music. You're going to really thank me and thank Dominique for producing such awesome music. And I'm looking forward to see whatever you guys come up with next. Please keep me in the loop. I'd like to do a listening test before anyone else gets the new album, if possible.
I want to hear Kevin's his solo didgeridoo album.
Yeah.
I've never heard it before.
It's in the works.
Which classic is?
It's a one didgeridoo and 30 mics.
Don's got 4 18-inch subs in this little room.
412.
Okay. So when you put the didgeridoo going, the entire house will shake. He'll just listen to that for, you could do a 4-hour album just like that. He'll put it on.
The beat of the rhythm of the night.
We're bassaholics. That's it.
We are.
Yeah.
More bass.
All right, guys. Well,
Love
that's
it,
a
Will.
wrap. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So thank you so much for having us on the show. We're very grateful, and we'll definitely keep you guys in the loop. And any new recordings, we will shoot your way, and hopefully get some Atmos native, for all the audiophiles out there. That's correct.
I will try my best to make that happen for you guys. Well, guys, don't forget about our Patreon channel at patreon.com/audioholics. We appreciate your support. You get direct access to us if you want to ask questions or suggest video topics. And until next time, my friends, keep listening
To Dominique.